Hi. Hi, it's Jivana. Thanks for joining us. I think we're live. I'm just going to check. Hi, Sarit. Hi, Dujour. It's great to see
Hi.
you.
Hi there. I don't see anyone, but hi.
There's a realness about this, just so you know.
Let's see.
Yes, I just got to make sure that we're live. And so basically, yeah, we're live. So what I thought we could do is just say hi for a minute, each of you, and then we could do a practice. I think Sarit's going to lead us through a grounding practice, right?
Yeah, I am. Yes, that'll happen. Dejura, you want to start?
Dujour, just say hi. Oh, she went away. Wow.
All
Hi,
right.
everyone.
Hi.
Dujour, your video is off. I think we're live. I'm just gonna check. Okay, that's Dujour's having some technical problems.
She is.
Oh my god.
It's okay. We'll work it out. It's
I
part
know.
of. It's part of the. The sort of just the way we are right now, moving toward technology and technology not being as consistent as we want it to be.
So why don't you say hi while we're waiting? If you could introduce yourself, would that be okay?
Absolutely. Hi, everybody. I'm Sarit Rogers, and whoo, really excited that Jivana invited Dujour and I to come on and share our practices with you. Noticing that I'm a little nervous because I can't see people, so it's this bizarre thing where we're holding community space and yet not seeing it. So feeling into that and just wanted to name that in the event that it feels like that to anybody else. So I'm a somatic experiencing practitioner. I'm a professional photographer, a writer, a trauma-informed yoga teacher. And I teach yoga at One Down Dog, and I also teach yoga in prisons, jails. There she is. And to a group home that Dujour and I teach at together. And then I also offer somatic experiencing sessions, both group and individual, at Reconnect Trauma, Integrative Trauma Center and Polaris Teen. And
Those are all in LA.
those are Los Angeles, yeah. And everything has pretty much gone online, at least for Reconnect. Polaris being a residential adolescent facility, they're still sort of happening in the brick and mortar sense, but I'm doing all my work there online. And then I also have a private somatic experiencing practice, and I dedicate a fairly large portion of it to working with underserved communities and providing access to trauma healing where there usually isn't any access at all.
Right, and that's what we're going to talk about today, right? But Dujour, do you want to just introduce yourself quickly? Glad you're back.
Hi, everyone. Oh, God. I'm glad I'm back too. Hi, everyone. I'm Dujour. I'm a yoga therapist, also here in Los Angeles. And some of what Sarit said, I missed part of it, but I teach in jails and prisons. And also, I teach sex workers trying to get out of the sex trafficking trade, people that were also formerly incarcerated, mentally ill seniors, and who am I missing? Recovery, and anyone else that will have me. I'm really grateful to be here, and thank you for tuning in.
We're happy to have you. So, Sarit, you're going to lead us through a practice to start?
I am. So, however, this will be a pretty simple, straightforward practice just to get grounded and oriented into wherever we are right now, inviting a sense of connection through the body from the ground up. So, whether you're seated, lying down, standing, however you find yourself, see if you can just take a moment and look around. And allow your head and your neck and your eyes to move around your space as though you've never been there before. And as we're looking around and taking in the space, what you might notice is a deeper breath. You might notice some digestive sounds that start to emerge as the system starts to shift into a more regulated state. And then see if you can bring your awareness to any area where you feel a connection to gravity. And here, the invitation is to keep your eyes open or closed, but allowing ourselves to go inward beneath the thinking mind and into the feeling body. To check in with where we sense the downward sensation of gravity. Do we notice our seat on the chair or cushion? Or maybe our back being supported or lying down? Are we able to sense that which is holding us, meeting us, or are we floating above it? And without judgment, just paying attention to it in a gentle, kind way. And as you start to notice that downward sensation of gravity, notice what else happens. Is there a deeper breath? Do your shoulders drop? And can you move your attention to one of those areas that has shifted? Perhaps you sense warmth, tingling. And then gently moving your awareness to another place where you feel some settling. And perhaps noticing the breath deepening. Perhaps sensing some warmth or fluidness in the body. And just gently saying to yourself that right now, in this moment, I'm here and I'm okay. Just right now. Inviting in permission for ourselves to slow down just a bit. Nowhere to go, nothing to do, no one to be. And if your eyes are closed, gently invite them to blink open, taking in the light. And gently inviting in, orienting one more time, looking around. And notice if anything new catches your eye. Notice if things look clearer or brighter or different. And take one more breath in. Say hi to the dog. And sigh it out. Cool.
Yeah, you got to hear my dog.
I know, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, she might. She's busy. She's busy today. Thank you. That was awesome. So I hear it in the.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Mm-hmm.
So the topics we're going to talk about today are trauma-informed yoga and somatic experiencing. And I wonder if is that one of your dogs barking? What's happening?
Yeah, I'm gonna let her in the room because she thinks she's being abandoned.
Oh, okay. I was like, that's like the echo of my dog barking. That was so funny.
Lulu.
Maybe Jejor, can you? Well, one thing I wanted to say before we start talking about those topics was just that the reason I love to see both of you is that we got to work on my book together. So that's the secret here is that you're the main model for my book, and then Sarit was a photographer. There it is. Yeah. So it's like a little reunion from all of our photo shoots. And you can show some of the pictures, can you? Show pictures of du jour. Hi, doggy. Yay, there you are. I was just saying that it's so nice to be with you again because we spent a lot of time together doing all those photo shoots for my book. So
Yeah, we did.
Which I really appreciate. And we gotta plan another photo shoot because I'm trying to do another book.
I know we have work to do.
I know.
COVID business is like interrupting the flow.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So, all right. So we have two topics that are both quite large. I mean, trauma-informed yoga and somatic experiencing. I guess, where do you want to start?
I'll start.
Okay.
So when we think about trauma-informed yoga, everyone pretty much has some sort of trauma, whether they acknowledge it or not, or maybe it's too painful to even acknowledge, but there's trauma on so many levels. Immigration trauma, historical trauma, medical trauma, birth trauma, all different kinds of traumas. And we use yoga to kind of help to alleviate that trauma. Part of what trauma-informed yoga is to use cueing and languaging that does not create any additional harm, or trying to go through triggering by using really broad cues that could trigger people that are in some sort of trauma. We use options for the students to choose what they want to do. If they don't like a pose, they don't have to do that pose. They can wait for the next pose. If they don't feel like doing yoga that day particularly, they can just sit or lie on their mat and relax. They don't have to do the yoga. There's options with positions and levels of what do I want to call it? Variations, levels of, if your shoulder feels one way, try it this way. Always allowing the students to choose what works for them versus cueing in a way that's more bossiness and straightforward. I'm not really articulating this very well right now, but always allowing the student to make their own choices. Allowing the pose to look like whatever it looks like in their body. So we're not all cookie cutter shapes of each other. The pose might look one way on a certain type of body. It'll look a different way on other types of bodies. So always allowing a cueing in a way that's invitational. Thinking about kind cueing, loving cueing versus being bossy or
performative.
Particular way. You must have a big toe go in this direction. That's not how we do it in the trauma-informed yoga world. Also allowing people to take breaks at their own time. If they feel like they need to take a break, we don't have to take a group break. We can take our individual breaks, water breaks, knowing what our body needs perfectly. being aware of what different populations have gone through by studying what has someone been through in the criminal justice system or in the carceral system, and having an awareness, what does being unhoused, what is the cue, using cues that might focus on, like, for instance, while you're watching TV, you can do these poses while you're, at home waiting for something, waiting at home. People that are unhoused, we would not use that type of phrasing.
So it's like giving choices and also about being sensitive to who you're teaching to, right?
Absolutely. Being sensitive to where if you know where some of your population, what they're going through or what they've been through, just again, nonviolent communication, trying to do no harm in the cueing, allowing options, always options of different things, and also options to do nothing, just to be and sit.
And what's happening, Giselle, what's happening right now with your communities that you normally teach? I mean, is there no access to yoga there?
No, I'm really concerned about the people that we teach in the prisons and jails, because even on good days, there's no way to physically distance, and they're obviously under the direction of the officer of where to sit, where to stand, what to do at any given time of the day. And so I don't know what that would even look like. Especially in the jail system, there is no grounds. Outside the front door is freedom. And so the jails were never built to house prisoners. The jails were built to hold people during their trial. So when you get to prison, it's a different environment because it's more of a spacious, there's grounds, there's the yard, et cetera. People can physically distance there. But as far as the living arrangements go, some of the rooms are communal rooms as far as groups of people living in the same space. Other times it's a 2-person cell. These solitary confined people, they are in a 1-person cell. The masks and all that, I just don't know. The last class I taught was in the Women's State Prison, Chino Women's State Prison. And I was really honored that they let me in. I was on March 14th, and that was my very last class. And over the weeks following that, I get these emails of different classes are canceling. So I teach in seniors apartment living, and I got the message. I don't think that they're doing yoga on their own. I'm teaching, as I mentioned, a mentally ill seniors residential center. I'm hoping the staff is giving them some sort of movement since they live there. I hope the staff is giving them some sort of movement, but it's really weighed heavy on my heart because I know from comments how well received the yoga is and how these populations thrive from yoga and how they look forward to the yoga teachers showing up, whichever teachers, how they are excited about that. I always encourage our students to, think about doing yoga on your own all throughout the day, a little bit here and there. You don't have to wait for our class to come together. So I'm hoping that they are doing some of that. I'm particularly troubled about the ones that are incarcerated because once they get through their trial, they're pretty much forgotten by society, especially American society. If you're in there, you must be guilty. You must have done it. And there's a whole thing about wrongful convictions. There are people that are stuck in our U.S. prisons that were not even part of the crime. And they are stuck in there for decades trying to fight their way out because no one believes that they didn't do it. So we have this really messed up sense here in the U.S. that everyone in prison must be guilty. It could happen to any one of us that we get caught up in a situation. And it's not always poor people. It's not always people of color. It is the rich people. They're stuck in there too. They just have access and means to get out faster. But wrongful conviction is a very real thing. I know here in Southern California, they are releasing low-level criminals that haven't served all their time, but because they are not violent criminals or their crimes were minor, they're releasing them, but they're releasing them out to what? In many cases, to the street, homelessness. And there's no system set up, even when they've served their time, when they get released, there's no system set up. They've served their time to society. they get released. There is no system in line to help them find work. They cannot vote. They might not be able to find housing with that felony on their record in a lot of housing situations. It's a whole big thing, and it's very, I do it because it gives me life. It is hard to do and hard to know. Once you go in this facility, you can't unremember being in there. Those people are us. 95% of those people get out, and they're among us. Everywhere we are, they are too. So there is no separation of them, those, and us. They are us. 5% stay in there. Those are the life without parole and the death penalty incarcerated people. But all the other ones come out, and they are among us. Every day we go out, they're out with us. So I worry about them. The yoga helps them build resiliency. The yoga helps them deal with hopelessness and helplessness, the feelings of that, and feeling like they can't go on. There's no point in even trying. The yoga does help them with their breathing and how to respond to things instead of being reactionary, to do some breaths first before, to give them a chance to figure out the best way to react or respond. The yoga helps them with all of that.
Okay, thanks, Dijor. Sari, what about you? Like, what's happening with your students right now? Do you have any idea?
It's interesting. Well, I mean, we teach in some of the same places. So, and the last year has been a little bizarre for me in the sense that I haven't had my clearance. Like at Chino, we usually go in together, for example, and I haven't been in for a little bit, but my work right now is more focused on the SE work, and which I integrate into yoga anyway. So it's like I'm integrating a lot more movement into my SE sessions.
SE is somatic experiencing. Can you tell us what it is actually? What is somatic experiencing?
So it's a bottom-up approach to healing stress and trauma-related disorders. And so it aligns really beautifully with yoga because we are inherently working bottom-up. So when I'm teaching a yoga class, I am integrating fundamentals of somatic experiencing, and usually starting with like stabilization and then moving into inviting in a little bit more sort of, titrating in more distress tolerance and then settling and then working in that wave, right? And, as Dijor was saying, it's about choice. It's about offering choice, and trauma happens in an absence of choice. There is no choice. And my observations right now and my experiences with my clients is that everybody is in a different state of trauma. So they've got their sort of historical trauma or their big T and their little t traumas. And now as a community, as a culture, we're in a trauma state. And you're seeing it if you do go out for essential items and you go to the grocery store. It's like, that's how I'm observing really in a lot of ways. It's like people are either shut down, and so they look complacent or they look like they don't care, or they're aggressive and they're hyper vigilant and they're, and there's this sort of rage going on, which is all very normal. And so what I'm seeing and experiencing and what I'm working with my clients is that pretty much most people right now are falling outside of their window of tolerance, that space where we can move through the rise and fall of different emotions. And so I think, there's so many of us went into yoga online, right? And teaching yoga online. And I think a lot of what's happening is that we need to mobilize. Our systems are sort of hardwired to sort of recognize and respond to threat. And we have this invisible threat. Mm-hmm. We can't see it. We can't touch it. It's unpredictable. We don't know where it is. So that puts us inherently in that state of vigilance. And then you add to that our folks in the system.
Yeah.
Or one of my bigger concerns right now is those who were already unsafe at home and now they're under this safer at home rule, and now they're locked in with the abuser.
Right.
And you know, it's interesting, and it's definitely challenging. I mean, I work with women who are individually providing sessions with women who have been trafficked or who are currently in the sex industry, and or working with people that are, you know, essential workers, driving, delivering food, and putting their lives at risk.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it's like the somatic work is integrated into everything. Like if we can slow down enough to start to pay attention to what's happening in the body.
Well, that's what I want to ask both of you is, based on the work you do, and like what you said, the fact is we're all having some kind of traumatic response right now because of the world has changed so quickly. And there is this kind of feeling of threat, you know, or danger. Plus, you know, illness is happening. People are getting sick and dying. I mean, it's actually really happening. So there is a real danger. I wonder if you have advice for us, for people to use for themselves. So now that maybe we're not talking so much about teaching students who have trauma, but just handling our own trauma.
I've been talking a lot about something that I call pockets of peace. And I integrated a little bit of that in that grounding exercise in the very beginning, where it was where I said, notice just right now in this moment, we're okay. Right in this second, we're okay. And it's something that I actually took from the work that we do in the prisons, where we would talk about this in MDCLA, in the federal prison. And it was like, okay, it sucks in here. But it sucks in here. And if you lean against that pole, do you notice that you're leaning against that pole? And does your breath, do you take an involuntary deep breath there? One cycle of breath equals a pocket of peace.
Right.
And so it's really about giving ourselves permission to slow down until that breath shows up that just happened. And we're working in this part of the nervous system, right? So like we're working really intimately right now with the vagus nerve. And so that two-part nerve, you've got the ventral system that we know as social engagement and our rest and digest and all of that, but it's very fast. Mm-hmm. And all of these trauma responses are living in that other part of the vagus nerve, the dorsal part of the vagus nerve, which is slow. And so you got one part of it that's like the race car on an Indy 500, super efficient, going those laps like boom, 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 right? We've got our dorsal friend who's like ambling along in their broken down Mack truck on the same track. And it's that invitation. Can we slow down enough to wait for our friend who's ambling along? And maybe slow down enough to tend to the Mack truck that needs a little repair.
Mm-hmm. Well, what if we're in that kind of freeze response ourselves? So that kind of.
So mobilizing, we have to mobilize. And am I going to say to somebody who's like this, hey, I need you to go take a walk? They're going to give a whole litany of expletives at me, right? So what I'll do is like really almost simple yoga stuff is like moving your wrists, moving the joints, starting to move the rest of the arms. That orienting practice that I started and ended that with, as my system, right, starts to settle, as I talk about it, as I do these movements, the digestive sounds start to happen. There's a belch or a yawn or a deep breath. We're looking for that all the time. So orienting, looking around in a curious way, even if we're safer at home or stuck at home, however you want to view that, looking around these spaces, what do we notice right now that we didn't notice that before?
Yeah.
When I was orienting, leading the exercise, I noticed the light hitting this mirror that I have in a way that I had never noticed it before. So being curious, right? Inviting in the curiosity through the orienting, exploratory orienting, moving our limbs, wiggling our booties on the chair, sliding our feet on the floor, right?
Well, that's that practice. That's like that practice for anxiety, right? Where you, what is it? You have 5 things you see, 4 things you can. What is it? How does it go?
5 things
Anyway,
you see, 4 things you hear, 3 things you
I
can.
have that in my phone.
I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But orienting is basically like if you could walk away from this as with one tool from somatic experiencing, it would be to orient. And there's different ways that we're orienting, right? So when there's threat, we're looking, is it safe? Is it not safe? Right? Is there danger? Is there not danger? So what I'm asking is for people to invite in 180-degree turn of the neck, letting the eyes and the head and the neck move like they have a mind of their own without the input of our monkey mind. And then the joint. And then the other piece is a sound that we do called the VU, which I'm going to take us through it. And then I'm sorry I interrupted you. And then I'll turn it over. So it's the VU sends a vibration down that vagus nerve. And it starts to shift the messaging going from the gut to the brain, sends messages of all clear. It can bring up feelings, thoughts. It can be uncomfortable. It can be really settling. It also balances our CO2 and our oxygen. So what we're going to do, you guys get to do this with me. Hopefully everybody else does. Take an easy breath in, fill up your belly and then your chest. Letting it all empty out and then letting the breath come back in on its own. And then taking a couple of moments to notice what happens next.
it reminds me of Brahmarate, you know, like a buzzing breath.
Also,
it's a little bit like that.
sometimes I've taught people to just hum whatever, which has a similar vibrating of the vagus nerve, humming. You know, sometimes where we teach, we're not, we don't do the om or the chanting per se,
Right.
but we can bring it in another way. It's the same benefit, but we can hum our favorite Prince tune, whatever it is, you know, or just make a phonetic sound as a hum. And I would also suggest people try to just run water over their hands, depending on how they feel, cold water or warm. You decide in the mood. Sometimes when I feel warm, I love the feeling of the cool water on my hands, and that sometimes is helpful. I've also suggested to people in these times to reach out to someone by phone and not the tech feature, the phone, and talk to someone. Sarit wanted the other day, what's it called? FaceTime me. And I'm like, oh my God, I got to put on the top now. But I was glad we did it because in most texting people, I was like, oh, it looks crazy. But anyway, who cares? But that we a FaceTime chit chat last week, and that was very lovely. So actually reaching out and hearing people's voices instead of just relying on text messages. I've been in touch with people I have not spoken to in years or several years or a couple years, and it was really lovely. They were surprised to hear from me. And this is a perfect excuse right now of being in our, what I'm calling the global retreat. The world is healing itself, is to actually phone people that, you know, like I haven't talked to in so long. Oh, it's been such a long time. I'm not going to call now, but to use this time as an excuse to reach out and to talk to friends and you know, long lost friends and loved ones that you haven't spoken to in a while. Sometimes for me, just going in laps like if I don't feel like going outside, which is lovely out there, but just to walk around the house a few times, the peripheral of the interior, just to get out of my bedroom, which has become my what my she shed, I guess, is my bedroom these days. And just to move around instead of like coming to the kitchen, getting something to drink, and then going right back in there just to do a lap without having to get dressed. I'm trying to think of any.
So, Du Jour, you're going to lead us through a practice, though, right?
Yes. What'd you say, Gina?
You're going to lead us through a practice, right?
Yes, we're going to be doing a safer at home global retreat chair practice. And this is, while I'm talking, everyone grab a chair, preferably with no arms, and get situated. This is also good for people that are working from home that don't have the proper desk and chair, like the work desk and chair. And also to use if you are immobile in some way. This is a good, gentle, accessible practice for you. And this is also good if you're chilling out watching television, that you can do some moves during the commercial breaks, whatever. I know I'm old school, I have a TV still, but just do some moves, just sitting there gawking at the screen to move around a little bit. So
Yeah,
shall we get started on that?
For some reason,
I have one more thing. I want
there you are. Yeah, your
show
video
you all
came
this
back.
book.
Yeah.
Huh?
Go ahead.
This book, Sarita and Jivana have pieces in here, and this is Miss Sarita's photography work on the cover. Melanie Klein, kudos to you. And then for any of you out there in the world of yoga and yoga therapy, if you have an interest in teaching in the criminal justice system, we have a book for that. This is through the Yoga Service Council, Best Practices for Yoga in the Criminal Justice System. This is a how-to guide. They also have best practices for teaching veterans, children in school, domestic, sexual abuse survivors, how to teach in those kind of specialized environments. These books are really great how-tos. And we're going to get in our chair. Allow me to readjust myself.
I'm going to highlight your video.
So you need a chair. If your chair has arms on it, not a big deal. Let me check I want you to be able to see the floor. I don't know how this is going to work, but we'll do the best we can. So a couple of props. So I look like I'm headless, but I'm here. If you need to bring the floor up to your feet, you can put books under your feet, yoga blocks under your feet. And I'm really sorry my head is not there, but I don't think I can correct that. Or if I do the head, maybe there'll be no feet, but whatever. We'll be all right, whatever happens. Blankets or a towel under your feet. This brings the floor up to you. So depending on the length of your legs, the height of your chair, etc. And we'll just sitting here. Feet are comfortably parallel. And what that means is whatever distance apart is comfortable for your body, do that. 10 toes go in the same direction. We'll just take a couple breaths here. And again, as Sari grounded us earlier, feel the chair underneath you, the back of the chair. I'd like for you to be sitting straight up, but if you are leaning on the back of the chair, please sit up really tall. Drop your shoulders down. Let's take a couple breaths here. We're breathing through our nose. Bring your hands in front of your heart. We're going to do a sweep out, an inhale, and a lift up. And palms meet above your head. Arms are straight. Swan dive down. Slowly bring the hands on the outside of the legs. Sweep up and reverse swan dive. And then exhale, forward bend again, arms come down. This next time you come up, inhale, bring your right knee along with you. Let's circle the right ankle. Breathing deeply. We're sitting up tall and straight. Shoulders are dropped. Long spine. The crown on your head is reaching for the clouds, stretching up toward the clouds. Reverse the circle of your ankle, right ankle, and then lower the right foot on the floor. Hands in front of your heart. Sweep up wide. Then tall. Exhale down. Come up and bring the left knee along with you. Circle left ankle a few times. And reverse the circle of the left ankle. And then left foot on the mat. Hands in front of your heart. Reach out wide. Inhale up. Exhale down. Bring the right knee up with you. Exhale, right foot on the mat. Hands on your knees. We'll cat-cow here. So we'll start with cow. So chest lifts. Take a breath in and exhale, curl your spine toward the back of your chair, chin to chest. Chest lifts. Breathe in. We'll do 2 more. Exhale to cat. And 1 more. Inhale to cow. Exhale to cat. Come back to neutral. Hands in front of your heart. Sweep out wide. Exhale, swan dive. Come up on an inhale. Bring the left knee along. Left foot on the floor. Another round of 3 cat-cows. Hands on top of your knees. We'll start with cow. Chest lifts. Arch your back. Inhale. Lift your chin a bit. Curl to cat. Exhale. 2 more. Lift to cow. Exhale, curl to cat. 1 more lift to cow. And then come back to center. Hands in front of your heart. We're doing a twist. So we'll bring the left elbow over to the right knee. That's an inhale. And then we'll exhale, left elbow to right knee. Press your palms together firmly. Look down toward the floor. So traditionally, we would look up in this pose. That might be too much on your neck, so please experiment with looking down. You can also look out horizontally. And just hold here, twist and breathe. Twist and breathe. Smooth breath. This is a seated forward bend twist. And then lower your left hand between your feet and lift the right fingers up toward the sky. And hold here. So the arms are in a T shape. Breathe here, down toward the floor. You can look out horizontally or up toward the right hand. Take 1 more breath here. And then inhale, come back to center. We'll switch sides. Exhale, right elbow to left knee. You can look up horizontally or down. You choose. Hold here and breathe deeply. Smooth and easy breath. And then lower right hand between your feet, left arm up, twist and breathe, smooth breath, relax your jaw, facial muscles are relaxed. And then come back to center. Lower your hands on top of your knees or thighs and separate them. Just do a little body scan to see what you feel. Those those twists brought a little spaciousness between the muscles between the ribs. Let's do some Sufi circles. So typically when I teach this, usually we have our feet sort of together, but I want you to widen your feet so you can really get down deep. Make sure you feel stable on the chair when you come forward. When you lean back, take a breath in. When you come forward again, that's the exhale. So move the breath with the motion. These are called Sufi rolls or Sufi circles. Sufis are mystics. This is homage to the Sufis. Let's reverse our circle. Breathing when you come back, breathing in. Exhaling when you come forward. We'll do 2 more this direction. Move the breath along, relax your jaw, relax your facial muscles here. The next time you come forward, bring the hands to the floor, or you can use your blocks to bring the floor up to your hands, your choice. Or your books, the books, whatever works for you. And just hold here. Smooth breath. Spine is long, so drop the chin down a little bit so that the back of the neck is smooth. Long spine. Then come up on an inhale, arms up, let's twist, and then lower over the right thigh. So one hand on either side of the ankles, on either side of the right ankle, excuse me. Look down toward the floor so your chin is tucked in a bit. Inhale, come up, let's go to the left side, exhale down. One hand on either side of the left ankle. And then inhale, come up. Lower your arms, shake out arms and legs. And we'll do a couple of things for the shoulders and the neck. Inhale, lift your shoulders up towards your ears. Exhale, either drop the shoulders or slowly lower, your choice. Inhale, shoulders up. Exhale, drop or lower. We'll do two more. Breathe in, lift. This is number 2. Exhale, down. Breathe in, lift. Exhale down, and then we're going to circle both shoulders together. So think about these things during your day, especially being at home, that you can do throughout the day, what I call yoga all day long. I'm also a flight attendant, so I do a lot of these, even though I'm not working right now. Glory days, I would do these on our jump seat, which is the seats that the flight attendants are our work seat, jump seat. And so we would do a little jump seat yoga throughout our flights for some of my peers that I work with. Reverse your circle. I do things like this in my car in the glory days when we were driving all over. Some of these things I would do at the red light. Some of it I would do as I was driving, just to keep the tension out of especially LA traffic and all that. And then slowly lower, and we'll do opposite shoulders. Whatever that is, notice how you're feeling around the shoulder joints. Breathing big, straight. Relax your jaw, reverse the circle, the opposite circling. Couple more, and then we'll come back to neutral. And this last thing here is take your right hand to your left ear. And just hold here. Use the weight of the right hand, right arm to pull the head gently to the right. And then we'll change sides. Left hand, right ear. Let the head drop to the left. And then we'll sit for just a couple breaths in seated mountain pose. Just notice the quality of your breath right now. Notice how you feel from the mini Safer at Home global retreat yoga sequence. Notice the temperature in the room that you're in, on your skin. Couple more deep breaths here. Whoa. Thank you.
Thanks, Tejor. Thanks, that was great. That bell surprised me at the end. But it was
Say
great
that
to
again.
move. The bell surprised me at the end. That's all. I didn't expect it. But it was nice. Great to move. Thank you so much. I wondered if you had anything else you want to share. I noticed there's a couple of questions and we can respond in the chat later. I can give links to the books. Anything else you want to share before we go? Sarit, do you want to say anything else? Or how can people find you? I guess I can put a link to you on the chat as well.
Sarit's mic is
Oh,
off.
right.
My mic
There it
is
is.
off.
On now. Go
Why is my
ahead.
mic-
Sorry.
You can find me saritzrogers.com, and you can contact me that way. You can contact me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram as Sarit Photo or Somatic Wellness Yoga. And that's pretty much all I got.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for sharing today. How about you, DeJour?
On Facebook, just my first name, DE space capital JUR. And on Instagram, MZ, Ms. MZ, DEJUR. And email address is iamdjour@AOL. And please reach out with any questions, or if you'd like to communicate, please get in touch. And thank you so much for allowing me to practice chair yoga with you.
Yeah, thank you both for being here. And I see there's a question, but we'll respond in the chat, and maybe you both can join on there too and answer some of the comments and questions there.
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
Great. Thank you both so much.
Thank you,
I'll see
everybody.
you soon. Nice to see you. Okay. Bye.
Love you both. Can't wait to see you in person.
Love you too.
Bye,
Goodbye.
everyone.
Bye.
Everyone in Accessible Yoga Land. Bye. Thank you.